At a bustling auction, the sound of hammers echoed as buyers eagerly examined the animals for sale. Amidst the frenzy, a thin, dull-eyed horse named Blaze stood on the sidelines. His ribs were visible, and his movements were slow, as if carrying. His own weight was a challenge. The murmurs among the buyers were clear. Blaze had no future. The initial rejection was a blow that pushed him even further into the shadows of despair. While other horses were enthusiastically bid on, Blaze remained there, forgotten. Offers were quickly made for animals deemed useful or promising. But for Blaze, not a single hand was raised. He was the only one without bidders, a rejected horse seemingly destined to fade into anonymity. The atmosphere of indifference surrounding him was suffocating, and the sound of the hammer falling without a sale only reinforced his precarious condition. Then, amid the crowd, an unexpected presence emerged. Grace, a young woman with a keen gaze and a confident stance, fixed her eyes on Blaze. Despite his frail appearance, she saw something others had overlooked. There was a faint spark in his eyes, a trace of resilience waiting to be written into a story. "Never judge a horse by its appearance," her grandfather's voice echoed in her mind. With courage and determination, Grace raised her hand. The auctioneer, surprised, hesitated for a moment before confirming the sale. The silence that followed was almost as deafening as the previous murmurs. No one understood why someone would spend money on a horse that seemed doomed to failure. But to Grace, Blaze represented something more, a chance for transformation and triumph. By the end of the auction, while other buyers celebrated their acquisitions, Grace led Blaze out of the arena. Each step he took seemed like a challenge, but also a reminder that their journey was only beginning. The initial rejection would not be the end of this story. On the contrary, it would be the starting point for something extraordinary. Grace knew that the road ahead would be full of challenges, but as she stroked Blaze's neck and whispered words of encouragement, she felt a strange sense of confidence. Something told her that this rejected horse had a potential the world had yet to discover, and she was ready to prove it. Grace never considered herself an expert on horses, but she had always trusted her intuition. Growing up on a farm, she had learned patience and observation from her grandfather. To her, every animal had a story, and Blaze was no exception. Her grandfather used to say, "It's not what you see on the outside, but what you feel on the inside. That matters." Those words echoed in her mind when she first saw Blaze. When they arrived at the farm, Blaze seemed wary, his breathing still labored from days of neglect. But Grace was undeterred. With patience, she approached him slowly, speaking softly and offering fresh carrots. Gradually, she began to notice. He was not just a rejected horse. He was a reflection of all the adversities he needed to overcome. During the first few days, Grace spent hours simply observing Blaze. She noticed that he limped slightly, possibly due to an old, poorly healed injury. Determined to help, she called a local veterinarian who confirmed her suspicions. "He needs time and care," the vet said, and that was exactly what Grace promised to give him. But the recovery process was not simple. Blaze often flinched at sudden touches or noises. Grace understood that trust would not be won overnight. Even so, each small progress, like him accepting her presence beside him without stepping away, was celebrated as a victory. Grace's vision was not just about what Blaze could become, but also about what he was teaching her. Trust is a two-way street, she thought, and so, with dedication, she began to build the foundation of a human-animal bond that would change both of their lives. At the end of that first week, as the sun was setting, Blaze gave his first sign of trust. He walked toward Grace and rested, his muzzle on her shoulder. To her, that simple gesture was confirmation that she was on the right path. A story of hope and transformation was just beginning. The first few months on the farm were marked by a slow and steady rhythm. Still wary, Blaze needed more than just food and water. He needed affection and understanding. Grace set up a care schedule, including warm baths to relieve Blaze's muscle tension and a special diet to strengthen his frail body. "Everything in its own time," she said, guided by the patience she had learned from her grandfather. Each day brought a new challenge. Blaze was easily startled by unexpected sounds, like the creaking of the gate or the distant bark of a dog. Grace, however, never lost her composure. She adapted her routines, ensuring that the environment was as welcoming as possible. In moments of tension, she whispered soothing words, creating a space of trust where there had once been only fear. Progress came slowly, but consistently. By the second week, Blaze allowed Grace to touch his mane without flinching. By the third, he accepted the halter without hesitation. These small victories were like bricks in the construction of a relationship built on trust and mutual respect. Trust isn't built in a day, but every step counts, Grace thought. One of the greatest milestones occurred when Blaze allowed himself to be led into the round pen for the first time. Though nervous, he followed Grace's commands, albeit hesitantly. Each lap around the pen was a step away from a past of rejection and closer to a promising future. Blaze's resilience was beginning to shine. The bond between them grew stronger. Blaze, who once avoided any human contact, now neighed softly when he saw Grace approaching. She, in turn, felt a connection unlike anything she had ever experienced before. The human-animal bond they were building was proof of the power of patience and determination. At the end of each day, Grace would sit beside Blaze, watching the sunset. These quiet moments were a reminder that, despite the challenges, their journey was filled with hope and transformation. The once rejected horse was finally finding his place in the world. When Blaze showed signs of full recovery, Grace decided it was time to begin training. It wasn't just about teaching commands, but about further strengthening their trust. The round pen, once a place of trials, became the stage for his transformation. The first sessions were marked by hesitation, but also by steady progress. Blaze, who had once been reluctant to move with confidence, began responding to Grace's commands. Slow and steady, she would say, repeating her grandfather's teachings. Every successful movement was met with encouragement, creating an atmosphere of motivation. Grace knew that, just like in rehabilitation, training would require patience and resilience. The challenges were not few. Blaze was afraid of new obstacles such as cavaletti and low fences. Grace understood that overcoming these barriers was as much a mental challenge as a physical one. With care and persistence, she encouraged Blaze to face each obstacle, reinforcing that he was not alone. Mutual trust was the key to every breakthrough. As days turned into weeks, Blaze demonstrated surprising potential. His agility improved and his posture, once defeated, now reflected confidence and strength. Grace felt they were ready for something bigger. She decided to enter him in a local competition, not for the glory, but to show the world what resilience and love could achieve. On the day of the competition, Blaze seemed different. He walked with Grace as if he knew this was his moment. Grace, nervous, stroked his neck and whispered, "We've made it this far together. Let's show them what we're capable of." Her words seemed to reassure Blaze, who responded with a soft nicker. Despite the challenges, Blaze overcame every obstacle on the course. He wasn't the fastest or the most technical, but his determination and grace won everyone's hearts. When the judge announced that Blaze had placed third, Grace felt a wave of emotion. It wasn't just a victory in the competition, it was proof that overcoming the odds was possible. Blaze's third-place victory was only the beginning of his journey as an unexpected champion. The story of the rejected horse who found his place captivated not only the local community, but also people from other regions. Blaze became a symbol of resilience, inspiring many to believe in second chances. With Grace's support, Blaze continued to participate in other competitions, improving with each event. Despite facing more experienced and highly trained competitors, he displayed an indomitable spirit. His determination was evident in every jump and turn, proving that a past of rejection did not define his future. Offers to buy Blaze started to pour in. Some offered substantial sums, trying to convince Grace to sell him, but she knew that no amount of money could compensate for the bond they had built. "Blaze is not just a horse. He is my family," she would reply firmly. Their partnership continued to grow. Blaze seemed to understand how much he meant to Grace, and this was reflected in his performance. Every competition was a new opportunity to show the world what trust and love could achieve. They were not just competing. They were inspiring a new generation to believe in the hidden potential within every living being. In one of their most important competitions, Blaze surprised everyone by winning first place. The audience rose to their feet, applauding with emotion for the horse who had once been rejected by all. With teary eyes, Grace embraced Blaze and whispered, "I knew you could do it." Blaze's story was not just about victories in competitions, but about the power of belief and perseverance. He became a living example that, with patience and love, even those who have been rejected can become unexpected champions. As Blaze's reputation grew, offers began to pour in. Renowned breeders and seasoned competitors were willing to pay a fortune for him. Some saw him as a chance for financial success, others a symbol of resilience to add value to their stables. But for Grace, no amount of money was enough to undo the bond they had built. One afternoon, an imposing-looking man approached the farm with a tempting proposition. He offered an exorbitant sum, claiming that Blaze deserved to be among the best. Grace listened patiently, but her response was firm. "Blaze is not just a horse to me, he is family." Her words reflected the emotional value that outweighed any material gain. Together, Grace and Blaze continued to compete, not just to win, but to inspire. Each victory reinforced the message that believing in someone's potential, even when no one else does, can transform lives. Blaze became an unexpected champion, but above all, a symbol of the power of love, patience, and unwavering loyalty.